good evening and welcome to Joy News Prime. We're coming to you live from our studios here at Kumlimle. We're live on DSTV channel 421, GoTV channel 125, and around the world on myjoyonline.com. My name is Faustina Safo. Tonight, the Energy Minister, John Jinapor, warns ministries, departments and agencies with billions in debt to ECG to pay up or face disconnection with the Ghana Water Company, topping the list. Also tonight, the Bank of Ghana clarifies that there is no ban on over-the-counter cash withdrawals in foreign currency from the banks. And later in the bulletin, pavement traders in Accra are resisting an eviction order by the city's mayor, demanding viable alternatives before they vacate. Now, the mayor remains firm, insisting they must move or be removed. We'll also tell you why cooking with charcoal and other unclean fuels can be as harmful as smoking multiple packs of cigarettes daily due to toxic pollutants released. Thanks for choosing us. Well, tonight, government is scrambling to avert a looming power crisis as fuel to keep the nation's power plants running is set to run out in the next 48 hours. 2 weeks ago, he warned of the danger. Today, the alarm bells are louder and the debt is deeper. Well, there's more in the following report.
For me, I believe that
2 weeks ago, Energy Minister John Jinapor told Joy News that Car Power was threatening to shut down their plants over unpaid bills.
I received a letter from Car Power. They are threatening to shut the plant in 7 days.
Why?
Unpaid bills that we inherited. We've been trying every way we can to engage them so that they will give us some briefing space. But they simply will not budge.
Now, he says the sector is days away from darkness with only 2 days of fuel left in stock.
Frank with you, Chairman, today as I sit here, this morning my headache is how to get the next parcel of liquid fuel. The fuel we have to take us 2.6 days. We've placed order for fuel, but it has to be paid. We've procured some fuel on credit and working with the Ministry of Finance to pay. But the truth is that the Ministry of Finance also has its limits. And so we'll be going to Cabinet to discuss how we can improve on the sector. And that is why we are pushing for some private sector participation in ECG's operations.
Ghana's energy sector is now on life support. The sector minister, John Jinapor, is projecting that energy sector under recoveries would hit 30 billion cedis by the end of 2025. He says government needs over $1.1 billion to keep the light on. Yet, the sector rakes up to a 2 billion cedi deficit every month.
ECG is unable to collect all the monies. And so you're having a deficit of about 2 billion cedis every month when it comes to ECG's collections. When you add that deficit and you add the fuel, which is not part of the pass-through, you are looking at over 30 billion. Car Power has just sent us a letter that by 18th, they will shut down the plant because we owe them more than $400 million. IPPs alone, we owe them $1.7 billion.
It gets worse. The World Bank's $500 million guarantee has already been drawn down, with only $50 billion left. The government is now using oil meant for national revenue to pay off energy debts. But the ranking member on Parliament's Energy Committee, George Kwame Abuaji, says some big businesses are to be blamed for defaulting on their power bills, while the country sinks further into debt.
most of our companies in this country, a lot of them, they don't pay electricity bills. A lot don't pay. And transmission losses also is another factor, which the minister has to look at it. We are currently at around 29 to 30% transmission losses, whereby the OECD or the international sectors, their transmission losses is around 8 to 9%.
With a couple of days of fuel left and no clear financing solution, the sector minister is set to make a last-ditch effort to secure funds from cabinet to avoid a national power shutdown. The clock is ticking away.
Well, let's hear more from the Energy Minister, John Jinapor, who has vowed to crack down on government agencies that owe the Electricity Company of Ghana billions of Ghana cedis. Briefing members of Parliament's Mines and Energy Committee today, the minister said the Cabinet has approved the aggressive move to retrieve debts with the exemptions to extremely critical institutions.
All MMDs are supposed to pay for their electricity bills. They have to budget for it. We've identified what we call critical institutions. They include the health sector, the education sector, the security agencies, and the presidency. Even with that, so if you take the health sector, is the theaters, the laboratories, the wards that will be exempted. If you take the educational institutions, dormitories are not part. Restaurants are not part. Only lecture theaters. So we've classified that.
Meanwhile, former board member of PURC is taking the energy minister to task, questioning him for what he calls poor planning and zero accountability. Mr. Ishmael Ejikuhimini says after nearly 4 months in office, Mr. John Jinapor cannot keep hiding behind the excuses as the country teeters on the edge of a blackout. Now, with just 2 days to the fuel left to power terminal plants, he says a crisis reveals deep-rooted failure and not just sabotage and shortage.
For me, I believe that the managers of the distribution utility should be held more accountable than they are being held at the moment. And it is not just today. You recall the fight, the battle that the previous PURC board were having with the board of ECG.
Right.
The people at ECG, the top management let's face it, in any private business, if you are unable to collect more than a certain amount, there are key performance indicators that you give to the people. Let the person sign on to that and say, if I'm not able to deliver, I would allow myself to be fired. There are people who are taking their salary, full salary, bonuses and packages, but the system is not getting better. There's a problem with that. If the people don't feel that there's the employer, the person who appoints them is going to fire them when they do 60% collection, then there's very little incentive.
Well, let me give you a clear picture of the numbers driving Ghana's power crisis, and that's coming up on your screens now. The total debt owed to independent power producers and the mounting liabilities of the Electricity Company of Ghana. Well, $1.73 billion. That's how much government of Ghana owes independent power producers. And ECG is swimming in some 68 billion Ghana cedis debt. Well, how do government plan to deal with this? That's a conversation we'll be having this evening. Thankfully, I have Kojo Poku. He's an energy expert. I also have Richmond Roxon, his spokesperson for the Ministry of Energy and Green Transition. We appreciate your time here on Joy News Prime. Now, we've heard from the Energy Minister paint a grim picture about the current situation with ECG and how we're swimming in debt. How do you plan to deal with this, really? I'll start with you, Richmond Roxon.
Yes, good evening to you, and good evening to your cherished viewers as well. Good evening, Kojo. It's been a while.
Good evening.
Today, the Parliamentary Select Committee met the minister. They invited the minister and some agencies under the Ministry of Energy. And at that meeting, the minister briefed the Parliamentary Select Committee on the state of the energy sector. That is where it came up that currently, as of this morning, when the minister was briefing them, we had 2.3 days cover when it comes to LCO. And the good news is that within the period, plans had been made already. By weekend, we're expecting 450,000 barrels of light crude oil. The impression is being created as if there was no fuel at all. What I have to clarify is beyond LCO, we also have natural gas, which we rely on. So basically, those are the arrangement that has been made. It shows a bigger picture of the issues that we have to deal with in the energy sector. As at December 2024 to this year, we inherited a debt of $3.1 billion. That is excluding the fuel. Beyond that as well, you look at ECG, and every month there's a shortfall of about 2 billion cedis. Cumulatively, if you look at that within the year, you're looking at about 30 billion, including incidental cost. And these are structural problems that as a country we have to deal with. If you look at the tariff structure itself, fuels are not included. So basically what ECG does is ECG will procure the fuels, they will sell, but it doesn't cover the full cost. And every now and then we'll have to fall on government of Ghana to be able to support when it comes to these things. So that's why we are looking at a holistic approach, looking at a holistic review, reforms, including coming up with a new gas infrastructure, which will also have an impact on the fuel. If you compare that to LCO, it's about 55% less, no, about 50% less the cost. So the government's plan is to construct gas processing plants too, which will mean that the fuel cost that we incur, which is about 1.1 billion in a year, we can cut down by half. The interesting thing is that even the money, the difference alone is enough to construct the new gas processing plant as well.
But constructing that gas plant is a long-term goal. We're looking at immediate steps, especially when ECG is swimming in debt. You propose private sector participation to help deal with the problem, but is that enough really at this time?
There are a number of things that needs to be done. We inherited a very challenging sector. If you look at ECG, like I mentioned earlier, no company in the world will survive if you have 40% losses. There's no way you can survive. You buy, there are forex losses that you deal with. Beyond the forex losses, there are inefficiencies in the system as well. So no company will be able to survive with that. And that is why we're looking at reforms in the with ECG as well. And then we also, the minister has directed that, and with cabinet's approval, all MMDAs will pay for electricity used. That is one of the challenges that we've had in this country. MMDAs do not pay. And at the end of the day, what happens is that some are even commercial. You look at Ghana Water, for example, for 7 months, not a cedi has been paid to the Electricity Company of Ghana. You can't consume power and not pay. Fortunately, Cabinet has directed that all MMDAs should pay. There are only critical sectors that have been exempted. Even under the critical sectors, those critical sectors, you have Ministry of you have Interior, you have Defense, you have Health, you have the Presidency, and then you have Education. Even under that, you still have some exemptions there. And the interesting thing is that the exemption is not a fiat that they will not pay. No, that what will happen is that the Ministry of Finance will pay for electricity used by these exempted institutions using the monies that they allocate their portion of their goods and services in the budget. So these are some of the reforms we are looking at as a country to ensure that we have a very efficient energy sector.
Finally, Richmond, before I let you go briefly, can you assure me that my lights will be on?
Absolutely. In fact, the people of Ghana, on the authority of my minister in the government of Ghana, I can tell you that we are not expecting any load shedding. The lights will be on. The government commits that it will provide stable electricity for the people of Ghana. So the fears must be allayed. Nobody should panic. At the end of the day, you have electricity to sleep in.
Thank you, Richmond Roxon, his spokesperson for the Ministry of Energy and Green Transition. Well, let me bring in Kojo Poku, an energy expert. We've just heard from the Energy Minister paint a grim picture about the energy situation in the country. ECG is swimming in debt. Kapa threatened to withdraw their services should we not clear that $400 million we owe them. How do you propose we permanently deal with the issues facing the energy sector in the country?
Well, good evening and good evening to your viewers. Look, my sister, if you've been following the energy sector conversation, the energy sector indebtedness is not new. What is needed is a new vigor, a new resolution, and a political will to deal with it. Yes, admittedly, in the last 8 years, it had not been cleared, but it was dealt with and managed. When I say something is managed, you know, in the past, everybody will keep saying that, oh, the government doesn't have money, that's why light is going off. The government doesn't have money, that's why light is going off. Today, we have a minister who, every time he has asked for money, he's been given that money. So far, he's been given about $350 million to buy, like, liquid fuel. I'm being told there's another 450,000 barrels of crude oil or HFO or liquid fuel coming in. I don't know the mix, whether it's HFO or crude oil that's coming in, but the gentleman just told us that there is going to be, they are going to receive some parcel of liquid fuel in the coming days. It means that government is giving the ministry or the sector all the money it needs, and still our light goes off. The issue is not about money. The issue is about managing the sector. I'll give you some numbers and let's go through this. We all know that there is indebtedness in the sector. And when my brother, Honorable Jinapo, was doing his vetting, he said that, look, one of the things he wants to do is to clear the indebtedness in the sector. And he promised that he wants to make sure that the sector is self-sufficient. In the budget read by the Minister of Finance, the Minister of Finance came and said that the weighted cost of gas, which is what we pay, okay, the previous administration, in consultation with the IMF, have taken some decisions. And going forward, in the budget 2025, one of the decisions that's been taken by this current government is to increase the weighted average cost of gas from $7,836 to $8.45, an increase of about 60 cents. Some of us said that, but the Minister of Finance is not the one to come and increase the weighted cost of gas. But we thought, look, to bring efficiency into the system, the Minister of Finance feels that he needs to recover some of the losses in the system. Okay. So if we need to adjust the price of gas so that we're able to pay for the full cost of gas, why not? Then PLC came last month to review tariffs, right?
Okay.
What did PLC do? PLC did not use the price set by the Minister of Finance. In fact, the 7,836, which is the old price, PLC reduced it by 20 cents. And as a result, we only got 14% increase in tariffs. That tells you that if PLC have used the price announced by the Minister of Finance, which is the 8.45, we'd have had probably up to about 30 to 35% increase in tariffs.
But then consumers are already worried about spending too much when they don't have value for money.
There are two issues to be discussed. There are two issues to be discussed. I have always said that if we don't pay for this indebtedness in tariffs, we'll pay for it in taxes. So somebody has to pay for this indebtedness. So if you've identified that there is under recoveries and the Minister of Finance feels that we need to do something about it, then a month later, PULC doesn't do anything about it, instead reduces the price that we are paying. What does that mean? It means that there is no political will to deal with the problem.
Briefly before I let you go, just within 1 minute, the Energy Minister says he inherited a sector swimming in debt, and that's one of his biggest headaches. We don't have the money to pay for some of the commodities we're receiving. ECG is struggling already to rake in enough revenue compared to the number of power they distribute to consumers. And that's the big problem, revenue collection for ECG. How do we deal with that?
And I have said I support him to do the retail, right? The PSP at the retail. That is an option that we all agreed on. He has spent 3 months doing a committee. Now, after the committee has submitted their report, we've not heard anything. So we are in the 5th month of the administration, and that problem is still hanging. Look, we need to act effectively and quickly because we know the problem is there. How do we resolve it? We know the solutions. We all agree that we need to do private sector last mile. Let's get ahead with it. The committees and the wait is not helping anybody. We support him to do what needs to be done. He needs to act swiftly and quickly to solve some of these problems.
Well, thank you so much. Roxy, you want to make a point before I let you go?
Yes. On the issue of PSP, Cabinet has approved the private sector participation in retail of ECGs. It's not that nothing has been done. It's a process. We are going through the process. There are a number of structural reforms that Cabinet is also looking at. Like I mentioned, the tariff structure itself is a problem. Fuel is out of the tariff structure. You have reserve margin also out of the tariff structure. So we're looking at a comprehensive reform to be able to deal with a long life issue. And be rest assured that the minister and the government of Ghana will deal with the energy sector issues.
We appreciate your time, gentlemen, here on Joy News Prime. Well, away from that, the Bank of Ghana says you can still withdraw your dollars over the counter despite widespread panic over an alleged ban. Well, the statement comes after board member Isaac Adongo suggested new restrictions were on the way. But now the Central Bank and the Ghana Association of Bankers are both pushing back. And there's more in the following report.
The controversy surrounding the over-the-counter dollar withdrawals began with this interview.
If you put your dollars in a bank account, it is okay. We are happy with that. But
I need to spend it the way I want.
No, wait. So you can only get dollars if indeed you are going to use it for a dollar-denominated transaction.
Well, why should the BOG bother? It's my dollars.
No, I'm saying that you can't take dollar over the counter. As we speak today.
Board member of the Bank of Ghana and ranking member on the Finance Committee of Parliament, Isaac Adongo, told Joy News on PM Express that the central bank would intensify restriction on dollar withdrawals from banks. His comments sparked speculation of a ban, panic among foreign account holders, and confusion across the financial sector. But the Bank of Ghana has now issued a public notice to clarify there is no ban. Over-the-counter withdrawals from foreign exchange accounts and foreign currency accounts remain permitted under existing rules. The Ghana Association of Bankers also weighed in, dismissing Mr. Dongo's remarks as misleading.
That as banks, we do not take individual instructions or instructions from individual board directors of Bank of Ghana. Never. We take instructions from the bank. The bank here being the Bank of Ghana under the pen of the governor.
According to the Bankers Association, customers still need a valid reason to withdraw foreign currency, but there is no blanket prohibition.
I can say on authority that as a community of banks, we do not have any directive that bars over-the-counter withdrawal of USD or any foreign currency. You cannot just show up in a bank and withdraw foreign currency. There must be a legitimate justification or reason in support of that withdrawal. Perhaps it's something that we are not within the purview and we do not want to even begin a discussion of such matter.
The clarification comes at a time when the Ghana cedi is experiencing its strongest run in a year, backed by a spark in gold export and reforms that are curbing dollar speculations. But with conflicting signals coming from within the central bank, analysts say clear and consistent communication is key to sustaining confidence.
President John Mahama says efforts to stabilize Ghana's economy are showing positive results, citing the cedi's improved performance and a gradual reduction in the prices of goods and services as signs of these progress. While speaking during his thank you tour in the Upper West region, he commended the finance minister, the governor of the Bank of Ghana, and their teams for what he described as a turnaround. Well, he's optimistic the media budget review will bring even more good news. Apologies, we'll bring you that sound later, but he also revealed that cabinet will soon approve priority projects under his administration's Big Push infrastructure program. He says the initiative will include the dualization of key national highways such as the Accra-Kumasi, Accra-Takrady and Accra-Flower roads. Well, you're still watching Joy News Prime. We'll be bringing you that sound shortly. But away from that, the minority in Parliament has called on the Commission on Human Rights and Administrative Justice, Office of the Special Prosecutor and the Police Criminal Investigation Department to open fresh investigations to uncover the source of Sammy Gyamfi's dollar gift. Now, this comes after the presidency on Wednesday announced that the acting CEO of the Gold Board has been cautioned and cleared, indicating that no further action will be taken against him. But the minority has rejected this, insisting Sammy Gyamfi must be sanctioned. After the break, we'll bring you that report by James Aveji. Please stay tuned in. Thanks for staying with us here on Joy News Prime. Well, to our story we're bringing you, the minority has called on the Commission on Human Rights and Administrative Justice, the Office of the Special Prosecutor and the Police Criminal Investigative Department to open fresh investigations to uncover the source of Sammy Gyamfi's dollar gift. There's more in this report by James Aveji.
The minority, on the back of a number of press conferences, especially the one held in Parliament as well as the one held by the NPP as a party, petitioned Shraj, the police CID, as well as the Office of the Special Prosecutor to open an official investigation into the Sammy Gyamfi dollar gift saga. After the petitions which have been received on behalf of the leadership of the heads of these three investigative bodies, the MP have been addressing the press in Parliament, citing Sammy Gyamfi of violating a number of provisions, especially the code of conduct launched by the president himself, John Dramani Mahama. We know that the presidency has cautioned and cleared him of any wrongdoing, indicating that no further action will be taken into the matter. But he said these three investigative bodies must investigate the matter and come out with some recommendation on the issue.
What we want them to do is to conduct an investigation into the matter, and so that Mr. Sammy Gyamfi, if he has not committed any offense, he will be cleared properly, but not the clearance His Excellency John Dramani Mahama has given to him. We also want to know potential tax evasion by Mr. Sammy Gyamfi or the receiver of the money. During the 2024 campaign, His Excellency John Dramani Mahama mentioned that the difficult decision of dealing with your own people, that is appointees, is what make you pass the test of corruption. So we want to find out from His Excellency John Dramani Mahama what has changed. Because if you can't deal with your own people, you can't deal with Mr. Sammy Gyamfi, then who else can you deal with? If you remember, Cecilia, the former minister, Abna Dapa, it was the same issue, dollars issue. But we never saw those dollars, but he was punished by the president and he's under prosecution or investigation. We want the law to work. So tomorrow next, if the law says that giving out dollars to somebody is not a crime, then if I also have my dollars one day, I can give out to somebody in public and it will not be a crime. But if the law says it's a crime, it will serve as a lesson to everybody that when you do this, you are breaching a particular law.
With the petitions duly received by the three investigative bodies, it is unclear how long it will take for them to conclude on this matter, and whether or not the president himself will act on any recommendation that the OSP Shraj or the police CID would come out with at the end of their investigations, especially when he has cautioned and cleared Sammy Gyamfi of any wrongdoing. My name is James Savage, reporting for Joy News.
Pavement traders are pushing back against an eviction order by the Accra mayor as they demand viable alternatives. Now, many of the affected traders have vowed to remain at their current locations, insisting they will not move until the city provides permanent, adequate and accessible alternatives for their businesses. The traders argue that repeated promises by the Accra Metropolitan Assembly to relocate them to designated markets have not materialized. There's more in the following report.
The mayor highlighted that the persistent occupation of pedestrian pathways and road shoulders by traders has significantly contributed to urban congestion, impeded mobility and raised serious safety concerns for both pedestrians and motorists. He stressed that the upcoming crackdown forms part of the Assembly's broader initiative to decongest Accra's central areas, improve traffic flow and restore public order.
Now they have taken almost half of the streets. But if I wait till something happens, they will come attack the mayor of the city. So as the mayor of the city, I cannot watch this to happen. So on Tuesday, we are starting from Okanshi, we'll move straight to Circle and Carnation. So please, we are not after anybody. We are not coming because we have the power to move you from the street. No, we want to keep the city clean.
Despite the mayor's warning, resistance is growing among the traders. Many of them insist they would not leave their current locations until a permanent and suitable alternative is provided.
I'm only asking one question. If they ask us to leave the streets, what else are we going to do? Because this is where we get our daily bread. And this is the only space that we have that we get our daily incomes. If they ask us to leave this place, we don't have anywhere to go. That might make us do what is not right that we're supposed to do.
Abaye kura de bi meda se kura ni bia basa abaye ne ni wo bi Ghana ha adwuma ni ha eti ye nyina ye ko school ankanye de ye pene ye wie ya yetimu eti say ye me fo so mba be pam ye benada de a na ayensem hunu na omo pedi
oh benada de me ba ha so mama me place me nko de a na my sister no mana ko ne akoye market o so mama me place there na ye ni ba wie ko sisi e ko fie sa
ye tena nye ba school fees ba me bia ntua school fees maye wonu akura ho ma wo hwe ye ne a ne hwe fie oni de enye brage so o meti because ye tena ha ne ye tua lances last year tua lance 1.5.
It remains to be seen if the new enforcement by the Accra Metropolitan Assembly will yield positive results, as previous attempts have proven unsuccessful.
The Ghana Pediatric Society is warning that cooking with unclean fuels like charcoal and firewood can be deadly, equivalent to smoking multiple packs of cigarettes daily. Exposure to household air pollutants puts everyone, including unborn babies, at risk. And that's according to Dr. Richard Bright Dangon, a member of the Pediatric Society. He made the comments at the maiden edition of Joy News Climate Talks in Jamestown here in Accra.
If you are still thinking, how does this clean cooking affect you? Now, this is the big one. WHO is estimating that if you are cooking with traditional methods, that's the woods, every day, it's like you are smoking 2 packs of cigarettes a day. So if you are with the smoke, you are taking in 2 packs of cigarettes a day. Now, just combine it with all the hours and days you have been spending in the kitchen, and then that should bring the message home. Apart from the cataracts, the lung cancers, and then even some has even linked it to breast cancers. So the effects are not just these few things that we've mentioned, but they are there. And even in pregnancy, unclean cooking can affect you. You could have hypertension in pregnancy and even anemia in pregnancy. And on top, you could lose your baby. What can we do? I think that as health workers, we all need to leverage on the knowledge we know about the effect of clean cooking and health, the benefits. And we have to drum this idea home. We need to talk about it in our old outpatient departments. We need to make videos about them, talk to people about it in languages that they can understand. We need to remember that prescription just doesn't end with medication, but prescribing clean air is one of the best medicines that can be given to you. And practically, as we are all here, you can just put your mind back at your kitchen. How well ventilated is your kitchen? Where does the smoke go to?
Deputy Director of Arocha Ghana, Daryl Bosu, revealed that nearly 70% of households rely on charcoal for cooking. He warned that if this trend continues, Ghana could lose a significant portion of its tree cover in charcoal-producing communities within the next 2 decades.
If you look at the fact that close to about 70% of Ghana's households depend on either charcoal or firewood for energy in terms of cooking, then we are not only looking at an energy challenge, we're also looking at an issue of environment and also an issue of health. The estimation already indicates that at the rate at which we are removing these things, if we don't take it like 2 decades, we are likely to lose a lot of the forests in the areas where charcoal production is coming from. And if you look at the density of charcoal production now across the country, you have areas like the Kintampo areas, the Atebubu, mostly the semi-arid regions. So the dry regions where we need to build more adaptation capacity, the dry regions where we need to build mitigation opportunities so that we can reduce emissions. These are the areas where our charcoal is coming from. So it tells you that there's more damage and more risks to almost all the fragile ecosystems in this country.
Our Climate Talks is brought to you by Joy News in partnership with the German Embassy. And you can watch the full episode on all our social media handles. We're Joy News on TV. To other stories now, they may be tiny, but zebrafish are helping scientists uncover a deadly truth. the hidden toll of illegal mining on human life. Researchers at KNUST and Oregon State University are using the fish to trace how toxic metals from galamsey sites are deforming babies and destroying vital organs. Nanaya Ojima visited KNUST Fish Lab and filed this report.
The zebra fishes of length less than 3 centimeters swim in the laboratory aquarium system where they are being hatched and developed. The genes of the zebra fish, after screening, are identified to have similar genes as humans, hence their adoption for ecotoxicology research globally. The organs of these fishes are similar to humans, hence factors that damage their organs have similar impact on the human body. Pharmacologist Professor George Ainison explains the negative impact of water samples from illegal mining sites on fishes when introduced could be likened to impact on humans.
We can get water from those environments and put them in here, like you see these fishes swimming. And then within 120 days, we can tell you a lot about the potential effect of the water that those people are exposed to in the environment.
Researchers from the Oregon State University on a field trip to illegal mining sites expressed worry over the destruction done by the activity. Researcher Professor Robin Tange believes Ghana could do a lot to save the environment from destruction.
There's no doubt that the economic driver to extract now for the economic gain is strong. But what we fail to do is understand how can we show the value of the environment. We haven't monetized the environment. We haven't monetized our health. So when we do that, if you do that over 100 or 200 years, the environment is far more valuable than the gold will ever be. That again, that's not a kind of a concept that you would naturally think of. That's where the social scientists, that's where the data that we can provide that this environment is harming you and the next generation.
At a seminar series at KNUST, researcher Professor William Stablefield said methodologies used in the United States could be replicated in Ghana in the fight against the destruction being done.
I tried to present methodologies that we've used in the U.S. to evaluate the impacts of similar sorts of situations, mining activities throughout the U.S. And hopefully some of the tools that we have used in the past will be able to be picked up and used by individuals here.
Meanwhile, the KNUST is optimistic of the impact of the partnership with Oregon State University in addressing environmental challenges. For Joy News, Nanaya Ojima, Kumasi.
Still in the Ashanti region, Tinker Island is known as a safe haven for drug dealers, but not anymore. The Ashanti Regional Police Command stormed the notorious drug den in Kumasi, arresting 34 suspects in a major anti-narcotics operation. There's more in the following report.
Were made in response to a directive by Interior Minister Mohamed Muntaka Mubarak, marking a significant step in reclaiming Tinker Island from illicit drug activities. The suspects are in police custody and investigations are ongoing, with retrieved exhibits undergoing forensic examination.
And this marks a significant step in reclaiming Tinker Island from the grip of illicit drug activity and criminal elements. We commend the efforts of the Regional Operations Team and the Drug Law Enforcement Unit for their swift and decisive action.
In a related operation, the police have arrested 29-year-old Mohammed for illegal trade in narcotics at Abuabo No. 1. DSP Godwin Ahienyo is the Ashanti Regional PRO for the Ghana Police Service.
During the search, police retrieved the following items from the suspect: 35 packs of 250, that's 250 milligram tramadol, 28 packs of 120 milligram tramadol, 11 packs of 225 milligrams tramadol, and 50 empty cartons used for packaging and transporting the drugs.
The police also announced the arrest of 3 suspected armed robbers alleged to be terrorizing residents of Kenyasi and its environs.
The suspect operating 3 separate motorbikes forcibly took the victim's mobile phones and attempted to flee the scene. Thanks to the swift action by the Kenyan Police Patrol Team, the suspects were apprehended shortly after the incident.
DSP Godwin Ahenyo assured the public that the police are working tirelessly to protect lives and properties in the region. Joseph Obin's report for Joy News.
Just for watching Joy News Prime. We'll be back with Showbiz. Please stay tuned. Well, it's time for Showbiz, and the Queen, Becky, joins me in the studio. Hi, Becky.
Hello to you. You're looking so colorful today. I love the whole, it's so sweet. But something else that is sweet and happening in the tourism and culture industry is a new play that has been outdoor, that has been launched. And I'll tell you all about it because Globe Production has officially launched their first major project, Ghana Must Go. The play is a theatrical experience of the Big Push Ghana project and a key feature in the Black Star experience. Speaking at the launch, the CEO of Globe Production states that the play will mobilize at least 2,000 potential investors and tourists in host cities such as the UK, US, Canada, Nigeria, South Africa, and others.
The Ghana Must Go brand is made up of 15 years of magical experience and then 19 unforgettable stories. With my experience of writing this 19 plays combined, gave us the Ghana Must Go. I should tell you that we've been preparing and we are ready. I mean, both financially, we are ready. We already have partners across the globe. Because of what we've been doing, the collaboration with our international partners. We partner with the UN, we have partnership with the UNESCO, we have partnership with the Spanish Embassy, the Italian Embassy. And I mean, last year we had a very huge, successful production in Madrid that was sold out and then attracted over 29 ambassadors in Spain. So it tells you that we did that to test the market, to see whether we are ready to tour. And the test was a success. So we believe strongly that we are well prepared now that the ministry has come fully to back us and our partners like the UN are backing us. There's no way we would fail. We are just on a journey to sell Ghana. We are just on the journey to attract over 2,000 potential investors in each city we travel for Ghana to engage. So potential investors and potential tourists for us to engage, and we'll use Ghana Must Go to do that.
All right. Now that it's been officially launched, when is Globe Production actually putting this play out so Ghanaians can actually come and have a look at it?
Lovely. Though we want to showcase this to the world and we want to mobilize potential tourists and investors across the globe to see Ghana, to visit Ghana, to invest in Ghana, we are giving opportunity to Ghanaians and people in Ghana to actually have the first right of refusal. We want to mobilize domestic potential tourists and investors in our country to understand the value of what we have, the investment opportunities that we have, and the place that they need to visit as Ghanaians. So we are staging it in Ghana on the 24th and the 25th of May. We do 2 shows a day, first show 4 p.m., second show 8 p.m. Just to give opportunity to Ghanaians to also have a feel of what we believe will be the best storytelling moment of our time.
Firstly, guess who is the face of this Ghana Must Go play?
Faustina.
No, Ajete Anan. And we've had a conversation with Ajete Anan as well.
Well, it's always humbling, and even though Latif and I go way back because I came on board when he started his plays, and I thought that he had a message, and that in the fraternity of the theater, I thought that when we work together, we do much more than when we stand alone, and so that was how come I came on board. But it's always humbling, yeah.
Now I know from the countries that were mentioned, it requires a lot of rehearsals. It requires a lot of movement and requires so much energy. I don't know, I know you have been doing this for years, but this seems a lot to me, and I'm wondering how you're going to juggle that with your life, that of a family, and everything or every other thing you do in the industry?
Yeah, I mean, as you rightly said, it's a lot in there, and I'll have to manage my timetable very well. But of course, when Ghana calls first, I mean, that's first choice for me. I mean, yes, the family will not even understand that this is a movement to project us into spaces that probably may not have been heard of us well, and so that when the benefits comes, it comes to all of us. And so I believe that proper organization in my personal space, and as well as aligning with the larger schedule in the trips here and there, should sit down well. So yeah, I'm ready for it.
Minister for Tourism, Ablaji Fat Gomashi, has urged young artists to showcase more of Ghana's creativity.
The Black Star Experience is about projecting Ghana's identity boldly and purposefully. And Ghana Must Go is one of the vessels we want to use. Through theater, we are not only entertaining, but we are also educating, inspiring, and connecting hearts across continents through our unique stories. So I say to you all, let us push together. Let us support this work, share this story, and carry Ghana's dream. My story for veering into politics and all the other things that I've done is to let Ghana know that when we choose to be creative artists, it's not because you are born, but it's because you identify your talent and you look for opportunities to make it good. There's no shortage of creativity. What we don't have is the business side of it.
Before we go, singer Chris Brown was arrested Thursday in England for allegedly hitting somebody with a bottle in a London nightclub in 2023. The Metropolitan Police did not name Brown, but said it took a 36-year-old into custody at the Manchester hotel on suspicion of causing serious physical harm. Under British law, police cannot name suspects, but before charges are filed. The Sun, which first reported the story, said producer Abby Dow told them Sunday that he was hospitalized after Brown beat him in an unprovoked attack in Swanky Mayfair neighborhood in London in February 2023. The tabloid said it became aware Brown was in the UK on Wednesday and called the police to find out if he was under arrest. The newspaper said Met officers then traveled to Manchester and made the arrest. Well, sad news for Chris Brown because he has a tour scheduled in June and July in the UK. This is the reason why he was in the UK but got arrested for something that happened in 2023. So we see how this goes. We'll bring you all the stories, the developing stories and all the juicy entertainment news here on Joy News Prime. Thank you so much for having me, Fosti.
Oh, thank you for being here. And Derek decided to punish us today, but it's okay. It's okay.
What happened? Or something happened?
Yeah, something happened.
Oh,
Derek,
we love you too.
I forgive you.
We love you too, Derek. But please log on to myjoyonline.com. That's where you find all the news.
Of course.
Kojo Baka will be here with Prime Business. Grateful.